Hello, dear students, and welcome back to the fourth part of the third chapter of history, the peasants and the Raj. Students, this part is the last part of this chapter, and in this part, we are going to learn about that how indigo was cultivated in India by the British planters. So, let's start the chapter. And as we are knowing, or in the previous part, we have learned about two major plants. First was indigo plant. Indigo was the tropical plant that primarily or that can grow well in the tropical regions. That is why India was a very good producer of indigo. Indian indigo was great in demand since the Indian indigo produces a very rich blue color. So the cloth manufacturer all over the world wish or they were totally in demand for the Indian indigo. About the next plant that we have learned was the woad plant, WOAD, woad plant, that was the plant of temperate region and it can grow easily in the European countries. But this plant do not produce that rich blue color and it gives pale violet color. That is why it was not in great demand by the cloth manufacturers or the dyers. So by the end of 18th century, the demand for Indian indigo grew further. The demand for Indian indigo started increasing gradually and Britain began to industrialize and its cotton production expanded dramatically, creating an enormous new demand for cloth dyes. Since industrial revolution also took place and new industries were establishing in Britain, so that is why for the manufacturing of the clothes, cotton demand also increased, the demand for cotton also increased, and for coloring the cloth, the demand for indigo for making dyes also increased. While the demand of indigo increased, its existing supplies from the West Indies and America collapsed for a variety of reasons. We also learned about this thing that how America, or we can say that the countries that were producing indigo, they contract their supplies for importing indigo to Britain. That is why Britain has only one option, that was India, and Britain turned to India for the cultivation or to fulfill the demand of indigo. Bengal was one of the surviving region. We are knowing that Bengal was, I explained you in the previous part, that Bengal was a very rich producer of indigo. That is why British planters, now who were the planters? Whenever we see that this business is having a lots of opportunity for the profit, like that only when British planters or the British traders saw that Indian indigo was in great demand, they lured towards India for the cultivation of indigo. That is why many British planters or planters from many European countries came to India for luring the business of indigo. They thought that since indigo was in great demand, so let's go to India for the cultivation of indigo so that they can earn more and more profit. So in this part, so the indigo planters started coming to India, majorly Bengal, for the cultivation of indigo. Now we will see that how was the indigo cultivated. There were two main systems of the cultivation of indigo in India by the Britishers. The first system was Nij system, Nij, N-I-J, Nij system, and the next was Riot system. Now let's see what was Nij system. So students, in Nij system, the planters adopted the Nij system of cultivation in the beginning. In this system, the planters grow indigo on lands that they directly controlled. That means when the planters came from Britain, either they used to purchase a part of land for cultivating indigo or they rent that land from any local people. So how they get land? They get land either they purchased or rented from local people. So what happened? The planters grow indigo on lands that they directly control. First planters came from Britain. They used to purchase land areas here for the cultivation of indigo, and they grow indigo on their own fields. Now, by whom? Who work on in those fields? So the production or cultivation was done through the hired laborers. They hire agricultural laborers and they used to do the cultivation, sowing of seeds, drilling, and all these tilling of land. All these process of cultivation was done by the hired laborers. For them, they used to give them money. Now, what was niche system? Let's revise it once again. In this system, the planters who came from Britain, they used to grow indigo on their own land. Now, how the land is their land in this country? So they purchase land in India and then they grow indigo on that land. Either they take land on rent from the local people. They hired laborers on their field for doing the work of cultivation. Now we will see the next method or next system, that was riot system. So in this system, the planters have this is a contract based system. Contract, all of us are knowing that it is a type of agreement that is done between two people. Both of them are ready to do something for each of them. Indigo cultivation, where the planters forced the riots to work under an agreement. So in this riot system, the planters came to India and they forced the riots. Now who were the riots? We have already learned riots were the local cultivators. They forced the riots to work under an agreement. What was that agreement? According to that agreement, land belongs to peasants. That means the land will be of the riots, and who invests the capital, who is going to give the money for the cultivation of indigo? That will be the planters. Now we will see there were lots of problems in these systems also. So let's see the problems in the niche system as well as in the riot system. What was the first problem in the niche system? In niche system, the first problem was lack of fertile land. Since the cultivation of indigo was done on the plantation basis. What is plantation agriculture? You might be knowing, but let's revise it, that what is plantation agriculture. So students, plantation agriculture is done on large scale. When a single crop is grown on large scale for the purpose of selling those crops in the market and for earning money, it is plantation agriculture. Many crops are grown for this, mainly cash crops are grown on plantation basis like tea, rubber, jute, cotton. All these plants are grown, crops are grown on plantation basis. So what is plantation agriculture? It is a type of commercial farming that is for earning money, where only a single crop like tea, coffee, sugarcane, from which they can earn money. Okay, so this type of farming need large areas, that means large fields are required, large amount of labor also required, and large amount of or good amount of capital, that is money, also required. So this niche system needs a lot of fertile land for the cultivation of indigo. Large areas of fertile land for indigo cultivation were not available. Why not available? Because the lands were already densely populated, because people were already living, or people have already covered a lot of land. So the planters were not getting enough fertile land for the cultivation of indigo. So in this problem, or what they used to do, they used to evict, they used to throw away the tenants from the land, and that led to conflicts between the tenants or the local people and the Britishers. This was the first problem in that. The next problem we can see is lack of agricultural laborers. Now students, they could not even hire labor to work on indigo plantation because the peasants or the Indian farmers were busy on their own fields with their rice or wheat cultivation. Because Indian farmers were having their own land and they were already busy in doing work in their own field. That is why, since it was done on plantation basis, that is why there was shortage of agricultural laborers also, because our laborers were already busy in their field for cultivation of rice or food crops. Now the next problem that they faced was lack of agricultural equipments. Lack of agricultural equipment means the equipments or the tools or the machineries that were required for the cultivation of indigo. There was lack of that also, because basically it was difficult to arrange for plows and bullocks, as the peasants required these to work on their own field. The time of sowing the seeds of indigo and the time for sowing the seeds like rice, that was same. That is why there were lack of agricultural equipments also, because equipments were also busy with the farmers for growing their own food crops. So these were the three major problems that were faced by the planters in the niche cultivation. So the planters failed to bring large areas of land under indigo cultivation. When the niche method failed, then the planters introduced a new method of cultivation of indigo, that was the riot system. So what was the riot system? Let's see this. Under this system, there was an agreement signed between riots, that means the cultivators, and the planters who came from Britain. The planters forced the riot to sign a contract, that was an agreement. That means a satta, ek samjhauta. Next is, the riot were given loans by the planters. Planters told the riot that we are giving you loans. Loan means, that means they have to pay back it to the planters. We are giving you loans for the cultivation of indigo on your field. Now the riots were forced to grow indigo on 25% of their land, and according to that agreement, if the planters are giving loan to the riots, then the riots were forced to grow indigo on 25% of their land that they have. The planters provided the seed and the drill, that means they provided the machinery and the seeds, while the cultivator have to work on the field. That means they have to prepare the soil, they have to sow the seeds, and they have to look after the crops. The riots were forced to sell the indigo to planters as fixed rates. Now, after the loan, the planters forced the riots to sell the indigo at fixed prices that was decided by the planters. So let's see what were the problems with the riot system. So the first problem was, when the crop was delivered to the planters after the harvest, a new loan was given to riots and the cycle started all over again. See what happened. Firstly, the planter will give the loan to the peasants. Now the peasants have to grow indigo. Now after the indigo was cultivated, now they have to harvest. After the harvesting, when the riots give the indigo to the planters, then planters again give them loan amount to grow indigo again. So it was basically a cycle that planters will give the loan and then riot will grow indigo. Then again planters will give the loan and then again riot will grow the indigo. So this was the cycle of loans started between the planters and the riot, and every time the riot has to pay back the loan amount. Next problem was that the price they got for the indigo they produced was very low and the cycle of loan never ended. That means Peasants growing indigo on their field got a very low price for the product. So they were not able to pay back the loan, which led them into the clutches of money lenders. Now next one is also large oppressive measures were used, such as holding the cultivator and his family prisoners, burning his house, etc. When the ryots were not able to pay back the loan, then the British planters adopted oppressive measures, like they used to burn the house of the ryots, or they used to prison the family of the ryot. So all these inhuman operation of indigo cultivators forced them to revolt against the British. So the ryots were forced to revolt against the British planters. Now the third was, indigo has deep roots and it exhausted the fertility of the soil rapidly. Since the planters forced the ryot to grow indigo again and again in the field, the soil loses its fertility because indigo has deep roots. So after growing indigo, the same land could not be sown again with rice, as the deep roots of indigo had already exhausted the fertility of the soil. Now, next problem is, the planters forced the ryots to grow indigo in the fields where they grow their food crops. So all these were the reasons for which the ryot system was also become impossible for the planters. The indigo planters advanced a small sum of money to the peasant and forced them to enter into contract to cultivate indigo in a part of their land. If the planter also took oppressive measures by beating up, by kidnapping, by confining, by burning and by looting, that means they were totally oppressing the peasants for giving back the loans. Most of them maintained armed goons called lathials. Now these planters have a goon, a system of lathials, those who are having lathi with them, and they used to beat up the planters, the peasants, with those lathis if they were not able to pay the loans to the planters. So all these were the problems in the ryot system also. Now we will have a look on the indigo revolt. So students, the indigo revolt started on March 1859, when thousands of ryots in Bengal refused to grow indigo. As the rebellion spread, ryots refused to pay rents to the planters and attacked indigo factories armed with swords and spears, bows and arrows. What happened? That they refused, that they are not going to grow indigo then again, and they refused to pay rents to the planters also. They started attacking to the indigo factories with whatever weapons they have, swords, spears, bows and arrows. Women also turned up to fight with pots, pans and kitchen implements. Now, those who worked for the planters were socially boycotted. The people, those who were still working for the planters, were boycotted by the people of the Bengal. Now, in 1859, the indigo ryots felt that they had the support of the local zamindars. Now, basically the ryots started thinking that they were in great need of the support of zamindars and the village headmen. So they started persuading them to help them, ryots. So the zamindars and village headmen were also against the planters. In many villages, headmen who had been forced to sign indigo contracts mobilized the indigo peasants and fought pitched battles with the lathials. So the village headmen also, the zamindars also, the ryots also, they also started opposing the lathials or the British planters. Means a fight, a kind of revolt started between the British planters and the Indian peasants. Now, basically the revolt started from a small village in Bengal. The name of the village was Govindpur in Nadia district. So the revolt started from a small village of Bengal. The name of that village was Govindpur in Nadia district, under the leadership of Digambar and Bisambar Vishwas. Under the leadership of Digambar and Bisambar Vishwas, they were the ex-employees of the planters. They gave up indigo cultivation. They said that now we are not going to do any kind of cultivation. And when the planters sent Lathials to attack their village, they fought back with the help of villagers. The indigo uprising soon spread all parts of Bengal. The peasants even filed cases against the planters. They also boycotted other peasants who were still cultivating indigo. Ultimately, the planters could not withstand the collective might of the peasants and began shutting down their factories. The result of this revolt of 1859, the Blue Rebellion or the Indigo Revolt, was that after so much oppression or opposition of the Indian peasants, the planters started shutting down their indigo factories, and indigo plantation at that time basically moved to Bihar. So let's see what happened after the Blue Rebellion. The indigo plantation collapsed in Bengal. In Bengal, the indigo plantation totally collapsed. Planters shifted to Bihar for indigo cultivation. Planters shifted to Bihar for the cultivation of indigo. So I am telling you one story or one incident that happened. Haji Mullah, an indigo cultivator of Chandpur. There was a person named Haji Mullah. Thana Hardi was interviewed by the members of Indigo Commission on Tuesday, 5th June 1860. He was interviewed by a police authority of Britishers on 5th June 1860. And just listen to his conversation. He said at the last that I would rather beg than sow indigo. He said that in place of sowing indigo, I am happy to beg, but I am not going to ready to grow indigo in my fields again. Britishers try to persuade and they try to ask problems of the peasants of India, that why they are refusing indigo and what are the reformation they want for the cultivation of indigo. So the president of the Indigo Commission asked to Haji Mullah, are you now willing to sow indigo? And if not, on what fresh terms would you be willing to do it? So the Haji Mullah replied, I am not willing to sow indigo and I don't know that any fresh terms would satisfy me. Then Mr. Sale said, would you not be willing to sow at a rupee a bundle? That you are ready, that now we are going to give you 1 rupee for each bundle of indigo. Haji Mullah said, no, I would not. Rather than sow indigo, I will go to other country. I would rather beg than sow indigo. So this was the condition of Indians, that now they were not ready, or the Bengal peasants, that now they were not ready to grow indigo in any term. So that is why indigo cultivation collapsed in Bengal. Planters shifted to Bihar for indigo cultivation. Now slowly, with the discovery of synthetic dyes, their business was severely affected. Now, as the people started new inventions, they invented or they discovered that how they can make dye, or with the synthetic dyes, how they can make artificial dyes with chemicals. So as they learned this, the business of indigo planters affected severely. Now, when Gandhiji returned from South India, at that time also, he visited Champaran, Bihar on the request of one of the peasant. One of the peasant of Bihar, indigo peasant, requested Gandhiji to visit Champaran, that is in Bihar, in 1917. When Gandhiji visited to Champaran, there he saw that people are, or the peasants are suffering by the increasing rate, or we can say that by the increasing revenue demands of the indigo cultivation, and they were not giving good amount for the cultivation of indigo. There only he started Champaran movement for the betterment of the Indian peasant. So this was known as in 1970 Gandhiji started Champaran movement in Bihar against the indigo planters for the betterment of Indian farmers. So students, this is all about the Indigo Revolt. Indigo Revolt started in 1859. All the riots or the zamindars or the local village headmen, they all started opposing the planters, that they started refusing, that we are not ready to grow indigo anymore in Bengal, and we are not ready for any term to grow indigo in Bengal. So for that only Britishers established Indigo Commission that questioned the peasants that what are the problems they are facing, but ultimately it find the planters only guilty, and the Britishers were ready to accept the demands of the peasants, and they also give the opportunity to the peasants that the right that they can refuse to grow indigo in their fields. So that is why after the revolt of indigo, basically the cultivation of indigo collapsed in Bengal. It shifted to Bihar, and after the invention of synthetic dyers, the indigo cultivation totally collapsed from India. We learned about the Champaran Satyagraha also, or we can say Champaran movement also, that was started by Gandhiji in 1970. We learned about two methods of niche cultivation of indigo cultivation. First was niche system and another was riot system. In niche system, the planters used to purchase land in India and they used to grow indigo on that land. But in riot system, the planters forced the riots to sign a contract or an agreement, and they forced the riots to grow indigo in their field. So students, this chapter is over now. I hope all of you are able to understand the chapter. Please watch the video, read the book, then only you will be able to understand. And in case you are not able to understand any topic, you can ask me through the comment box or through the WhatsApp group. I will definitely explain you. Thank you, students.